Welcome back. In this video, you are going to see a very interesting topic which you have seen already. The topic is function prototyping. Function prototyping is also known as function declaration, which you have studied in the first year. Still, let us see in detail. So, function prototype is nothing but the function heading without the body of the function. If you take a function definition, the first statement is going to be the function heading, and if you take that function heading with a semicolon, which is going to be a function prototype. So let us see in detail. So normally the syntax for this is you have to give the return type. So please do remember. So this return type can be of any type like integer, float, character. Then you have to give the function name, the argument list. So which takes three parameters: return type, your function name, and the argument list. So for example, so you can find int as the return type, add is your function name, and this is the argument list. So if you look at the argument list, it's not necessary that you have to specify the variable name, but it's mandatory that you need to specify the type of the parameter or the argument. Look at this. There is no variable, there is no parameter, but it's mandatory. You need to specify the type of each parameter. When I say type, I mean the data type. So let me repeat, it's not necessary to specify the variable name. You could see on the screen, but it's mandatory. You have to specify the type of every parameter. So for example, if you look at the add function, you can see again, this is a type, function name, and parameters. So what does it say is your add function returns an integer value, and your function prototype should end with a semicolon, and providing names for this, the name for this is formal arguments, and giving names for these formal arguments are not mandatory. This is optional, but you have to give the type for this. What kind of argument is your formal argument? What kind of argument is, or what are the, how many numbers are there? So this data you need to provide. So let us see a small example for this. So we can see, forget about the first line, this is not there. This is what we are talking about. So everything is here. So we have the return type, your function name, and these are the type for the formal argument, and this is what your main function. Please do remember your main function, where you have the function call. Add is a function which takes two parameters. And what is this num1 and num2? Num1 and num2 are known as actual parameters. So please do remember what is there in the function call. They are known as the actual parameters. So from function call, the control will transfer to the function definition, and this is what I told, your function prototype and your function heading is almost same. So let me make it clear. Look at the function prototype. So this is what your function prototype, and this is what your function heading. So both look same, and if you want, you can give the formal parameters here, but it's not mandatory. But the only difference is after this you need to give a semicolon. I also want to make it very clear, the num1 and num2 are actual parameters, and a and b are formula parameters. So what happens, the a gets the value of num1 and b takes the value of num2, right? So why this is important? So this is important to make sure that the return value of a function is handled correctly. So otherwise your system will get confused what kind of value your function is going to return. Think that you have got 3 to 4 functions. We'll take it as function A, function B, function C, and function D. So when I have 3 to 4 functions, your system will not have any idea if you don't mention the prototype. So when you say your function A is going to return integer value, it's clear. So your main function, your compiler can handle this properly. So, and this also makes sure that the correct number and type of arguments are passed to the function. You have to pass the correct type and correct number, and this we call it as signature. Next, we look at this, which is going to tell you what kind of value your function is going to return. If you look at this, it's clear from this function prototype. If I call this function called add, which is going to return integer value, right? So what happens if there is no prototype? Everything your function has to, or your compiler has to assume, and sometimes the assumption and the actual value are incompatible. So your compiler is going to give error because your compiler have no idea like what kind of function, sorry, what kind of value your function is going to return. So sometimes which may be incompatible. Your function expect your system expected integer value, and your function returns character value, so which is incompatible. Okay, so this is what the need, or no if you don't give proper function prototype, what happens? Everything has to be assumed, and there are chances that your function may return incompatible value. So this is again another example. So where we have a function prototype, this is same as the previous one. So this is your function prototype, and this is what your function definition. So you have taken three variables. So this is your function call. So every function is having three things. One is function prototype, we have function call, and this is a function definition. So we are talking about the function prototype. This is same as your function definition. Look at this. Only the formal parameter names are missing from this. And end of this, you have to put a semicolon.